because I hate to brag about my work, but it's really what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm. What have been some of the marketing wins you've had? So of the strategies you've done, which ones can you say directly worked really well for you?
Well, it's easier to say what I didn't try. I'm trying everything from Twitter to Facebook, most social medias, newsletters, and I try to hire people from marketing. They didn't help much, but I'm hiring people who can spread the news about the book, that don't charge too much because, authors don't have that much money.
Right.
And social media basically is what works more, I believe. And then people who read your book and tell to other people, hey, I like it. This is a new author here. Pay attention to her. And it's great because people really, really recommend your work, and it's the best publicity of all. But social media is the top, in my opinion.
Okay. So yeah, I'm looking at your Amazon page right now, and you've got a tremendous amount of support. You've got 74 reviews. Most of them are 5-star. So people really relate and love your book. I never had, I just had among the 74 5 stars, I just had 3 stars. Mm-hmm. And the others are great. I really love to see how people react, and it's great. It's just great to read the reviews. People relate, but it's a very mature public. My books are for adults, and these 3 stars reviews, I remarked it was a young girl. I believe she was hoping for 50 Shades of Grey, and it's completely different of that. So she was disappointed. My book is not fairy tale, so. So you brought up the idea of 50 Shades. I'm curious how that has both helped what you're writing about and also hurt it, because it has put more of a spotlight on that type of the BDSM type of community, but it's also a terribly written book that has 0 ounce of reality. And so it's kind of it's laughable and interesting at the same time. So how do you, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, okay. For me, it didn't help me at all because in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, 50 Shades, the formula of 50 Shades, it's Cinderella. Poor girl meets a rich guy. In the process, if he wants to spank her, but she's getting a new Audi, that's great.
I think that is the best way I've ever heard it summed up.
Okay, it's a great formula, Cinderella.
I mean, it is. You're right. It's a award-winning, formula. You're right.
Yeah, it's great. Many girls want to be Cinderella princess, and so mine is a psychiatric story where renowned psychiatric studies paraphilias, abnormal sexual behavior. And you are going to find from BDSM to all kinds of paraphilias, all kinds of abnormal. I have one of the patients that love feet. The other is crazy about his mom. And there are a lot of different sexual behaviors in my novels. And it's not about a love story. It's about a murder. The central story is a girl was murdered during a sexual game by her boyfriend. So a lawyer hires the psychiatrist to help to buttress his argument that that was an accident. And that's the point of view. There is no Cinderella. All the women in my books are hardworking women, successful professionals, tough women. No man is a charming prince. There are normal people with issues. They love, they cry, they laugh. They have problems. They are successful. Some are not. They have problems. but they are good guys. I never put, I don't love to put the man as the bad guy. And my female character says, oh, good and fragile gals. So no fragile gals, no bad guys, just normal and regular people you can relate. That's very different. But 50 Shades didn't help me, because whenever the people listen to the work erotica, now they say, oh God, another 50 Shades, I want to cry. So it's not another 50 Shades. It's not for girls who want to be Cinderella. It's for people who have been a lot through their lives. It's for mature people who know what a divorce is, who know how life can be tough sometimes, and how you are going to follow and get up again, and you have to face difficulties in life. So it's completely different. It's erotica under another perspective. I studied a lot about those paraphilias. I studied very hard about psychiatric issues. All opinions my psychiatrists have a support on some texts I bought from serious universities. Of course, there are different points of view in psychiatrists, but as a lawyer, I know how to find the one I want to support that point of view. So I studied what I wanted to think about that. and I wanted, main of all, to show people that people they don't have to judge. Okay, so a person behaves, they are sadomasochists, but they have a reason to be like that. Don't judge. You don't know what these people have been through their lives, why he's like that. And main of all, the central idea of my novels are, hello, you don't know, you don't judge, okay? You don't have the right to point your finger and say, that's wrong, that's not good. I mean, of all, who established what is good and bad and evil on this earth? And you don't have the right to do that. So it's very different from 50 Shades, really.
That's it definitely sounds like it, and it also sounds like it's so. First off, you've probably done an infinite amount of research beyond anything that 50 Shades did. I don't actually think they did any research for that other than just make up stuff. And so I'm fascinated to hear that you looked that deep into those different areas that you were writing about for your work.
Hey, I'm a professor. I'm a professor, Yuri.
That's true.
And a professor can be light. You can be in front of people and tell lies to them. You have to research what you are going to tell them. Okay, and you have to believe. If I don't believe, I don't teach. If I don't believe, I don't write. So it comes basically from being a lawyer. During my legal career, I never defended causes that I didn't believe. Okay, if I didn't believe, I wasn't going to be a good lawyer. I have to find the reasons. It's the same way when I was a professor. Now I don't have the time to be a professor anymore. And when I was a professor, I always research a lot. And for my books, I always research a lot. It's to be a writer is about a lot of hard working. It's not just sitting in front of a computer and waiting for a muse comes and sing into my ears. No, that's a small part. Inspiration is a small part. It's like Beethoven used to say, it's more about transpiration than inspiration, about hard working, really.
With your busy schedule as a professional lawyer who then travels extensively, how do you find time to write? And also, what do you do if you hit writer's block?
Thanks God, until now I never hit this block, because I have a huge discipline that I learned from being a lawyer. Lawyer, you have to write your stories if you want, if you don't want, if you are tired or not, and you have a schedule to present them. And I think about writing like that. I'm going to write every day a little bit. My goal is 1,500 words per day. Okay? Mm-hmm. If they are good, if they are not, if I'm going to use or not, I'm going to write 1,500 words per day. It's all a matter of to have a schedule, a good one, and to follow that schedule. And sometimes I write those words and I don't use for anything, because today after I write, I used to read it, and I can say, wow, what I had in my mind to write that. It's so unbelievable. But sometimes I use some phrases. I discard the rest. I put in an archive. Maybe one day I'm going to dig there and get that idea. But basically, it's about schedule and hard work. Inspiration, yes. I have to tell you, I have one thing that most writers don't. I suffer from attention deficit. And one of the positive sides of attention deficit is you have a huge imagination. Mm-hmm. I can imagine 1,000 things at the same time. My mind is always having ideas, crazy one, good one, bad ones. I can imagine like if you were on a Matrix movie, okay? So that imagination helps a lot when you start to write. When I started my book, I didn't want to write about erotica. I just want to write about a girl who was killed by her boyfriend. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know how she was killed. And then I thought, how about a sex game to add some pepper to this? And then the story came and my imagination tells the story. And I don't follow a regular line. I don't know how my books are going to end. That's the reason my readers never know who the killer is, because I don't know until the very end.
So you
I swear, I don't know.
So that's absolutely fascinating that you're writing it almost like so you're creating it as you go along. Does that mean that, like with your research, that let's say you're writing, and then do you go off and do research about topics, or do you try to do all the research beforehand and then let the ideas fly?
Sometimes when the idea comes, I go into the research first, and then with the research, I can use the idea or not. Okay. Because sometimes my idea has no basis. And I even have a friend on FBI. He's retired now. He was a special agent. And I consult with him a lot because I don't want to write bullshit about FBI. So I write to him, what I'm telling is true. It can happen. He says, no, God, you are watching too much bad movies. Come back to reality. Do that way. And he endorsed my second book. Mm-hmm. And so it's like this. Sometimes the idea comes first and then the research comes after to sustain the idea. Sometimes I do research. I say, hey, I want to put another patient for Simone. Let me research about a crazy paraphilia. Mm-hmm. And so I start to research about a crazy paraphilia like necrophilia and footage and things like that. They are completely nuts. And then I start to write about the patient because I have the background. I know what he can do and what he can't do.
Mm-hmm. So with each of your characters, do you work hard to get into kind of what their mindset is and what they're thinking, or do you just kind of skim over that part?
Oh, I'm kind of a schizophrenic. They come to my mind.
Okay.
Whenever I'm writing, I
I'm a combination of my characters and myself because I feel their emotions. I laugh, I cry, I got turned on by the erotical scenes, and all that. I have all those feelings. That's the reason when you read the reviews, people say it's graphic. You feel what you write because I'm really feeling when I write. I'm feeling disgusted. I'm happy. I laugh. I cry.